Hello, podcast listeners. This is Albert Wesker, wearing my sunglasses and hacking your feed to bring you this important message. The slight drop in the audio quality of the hosts of this week's episode of Every Damn Frame is due to interference by the Red Queen, and has nothing to do with their misplaced trust in the Umbrella Corporation's online podcasting software. The hosts of Every Damn Frame are on an important mission, broadcasting from underground in a secret facility under the ice in Siberia. Frankly, it is a wonder of the Umbrella Corporation's podcasting technology division software that they can be heard at all. Remember this while you are listening to this week's episode, and remember that the slight digital distortions you may experience are all part of the Umbrella Corporation's business plan, which continues to make total sense. Wesker, out.
Now, my important question is, both of you gentlemen are fathers. You are both fathers to beautiful young girls.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very curious. At what point do you have the conversation with your daughter about the clone army that looks just like you? Like, yeah, is that a difficult conversation to have? Like,
Every father treats it differently. My approach has been, I am secretly building an underground facility that replicates Los Angeles, where someday she will be trapped, and in the act of fighting her way out, she will either die or discover the truth about where she comes from.
You're all going to die down here.
Deployment in T-minus 57 seconds.
Oh, you won't have to wait that long, boys.
Every damn frame.
My name is Alice. I work for the Umbrella Corporation in a secret laboratory developing experimental viral weaponry. Everybody died. Trouble was, they didn't stay dead.
You are going to be in for the fight of your lives.
Good thing we like a challenge.
Last time on Resident Evil, Alice woke up nude in a bathroom, went down into a computer map of a facility, fought a bunch of zombies and some monsters with Michelle Rodriguez, woke up nude in a laboratory, went outside, fought a bunch of zombies and met Jill Valentine, woke up nude in a shower again, got murdered, found out there were lots of Alices, went to Las Vegas with some new friends, including the Claire Redfield convoy, found out about Alaska, didn't go to Alaska, took all her clones and her superpowers to Japan, fought Wesker, lost her powers, went to a prison, found out that the prison in Alaska was actually a boat, went to the boat, fought Wesker again, released a bunch of people, and then, oh no, the Umbrella Corporation is coming for her. We are watching every damn frame of the Resident Evil franchise. Hi, I'm Asa.
I'm Liz.
And I am Jesse. And yes, you are joining us for Series 1. This is Episode 5. Today we are discussing Resident Evil Retribution from 2012. We are doing a show about franchises. In an uncertain business, it's always very helpful to rely on some things that should be more certain, but because it's the movie business, sometimes they often are not. And if you're going to the movies in 2026, you're going to encounter some franchises, including this one. I'm getting more and more excited for the new movie that is coming out this year, but we're still working our way through the back catalog.
Speaking of things that maybe should be dead, but are still alive and opening their faces into multiple mandibles, here comes Resident Evil 5.
Previously on this podcast, I got told that I wasn't allowed to look at IMDb or Wikipedia for any future movies. And after having seen this movie, I can see why you told me to do that, because there were some surprises for me. It was exciting.
That's exciting.
I'm glad that we caught that. I'm glad that that paid off.
Yes. I'm assuming that this rule also stays true for the next movie, right?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I'm saying that because I don't remember the next movie, so I almost
might
didn't
be
remember.
the one person to answer that question
Yeah.
properly, as the one with the best living memory of the series.
This is the bigger payoff, but I would hold to it.
Excellent.
Are these usually 2 years apart? This was only 2 years after.
They're usually 3. This one's fast. This is 2 years.
So we're getting faster. The cycle is increasing.
I love that 10 years have passed, but Mila Jovovich has not changed at all.
It's Jovovich.
Jovovich. Jovovich, how difficult is it, for God's sakes? We made a movie together.
But Mila has not changed at all.
No, not appreciably.
It's impressive. It's just impressive work all around.
I just saw an ad or something for a new movie she has on, I don't remember if it's Netflix or Hulu, called Protector. But it's just it's like a close-up of her with her hair slicked back in a cool jacket with a gun. And I was like, Resident Evil? Is it a new Resident Evil movie? I knew, intellectually, I knew that was not the case. But I saw the still. I saw Mila Jovovich with a gun. Just wanted a new Resident Evil movie.
I'm so happy for her. I really am.
She really did find her franchise and owned it and, gave us feminism as a result.
I mean, from what we've learned about her influence on the character and the outfits and the everything, she really did own it.
Yeah, that's been one of the really fun threads of this series so far.
In junkets and in press interviews for this movie, she says that, this was like an important thing. It's been an entire decade of our life. It's where I met my husband. We have a beautiful baby together. Like, we feel very protective of these movies, and in a weird way are going to be very sad when it's over because they've been such a big part of our lives. I think it's adorable.
Legitimately very, very lovely.
So, talking about the business.
I can say this movie continues the franchise track record of making at or less than its budget in the United States. This movie cost $65 million. It made 42 in the US, which is the lowest in the series so far. Global gross 240. That's $61 million in current US dollars and $350 million worldwide in current US dollars. We are still, let's call it, in the Meg zone. Box office trending down, but globally still incredibly profitable.
This is also the era, right? I remember, because we owned a company during this period where we would hear all the time, China is opening up. It's this huge market. You have to put someone famous from China in this movie, or you have to shoot part of this movie. Part of it has to take place in China. I was once asked to pitch a spec for Witchblade, but it had to take place in China. We're seeing that with this, that they have realized the Resident Evil movies come out in America as a courtesy, but this is an international series.
What you just said answered a key question I had about this movie that we will get to later on, but I'm sure you guys can guess what I'm referring to.
Yes. I got stuff to say about that too, so I'm excited.
All right. So,
Should we dive right in?
Yeah, and let's just start off by saying the opening sequence of this movie kicks fucking ass. I was not ready. It fucking rules.
This is true.
It really, really does. The opening sequence to the last movie was so freaking good, and they really sat down and said, how can we top it?
I legitimately have not seen anything like that really in a franchise movie. Or honestly, I'm sure I've seen it in other movies. And tell me if I'm wrong about that. Tell me if it's someone else has done something similar. But it's just so cool. It's just such a cool way to start the movie.
Yeah, to basically open with a giant action set piece, but that is happening in reverse, so that you are seeing every single moment, and then the next thing is the thing that happened before it, so you get all those lovely moments of the Alice begins in the water, as Asa says, and then is pulled back out of the water and back onto the deck of the ship that she's about to be blown off of.
This is the movie that most picks up literally right where the last one leaves off.
5 minutes maybe have passed between.
And then it reverses to immediately when the last one ends, where the ships are coming in.
Yeah, it starts exactly the amount of time necessary for Wentworth Miller and Ollie Larder to get helicoptered off the bridge of the ship.
And Kmart. What happens to Kmart? Sorry, I know I'm the only one who cares, but what happened to Kmart? A lot of other people in white shirts get fucking murdered on the deck of this ship for no goddamn reason, because didn't the Umbrella Corporation previously go to a great deal of time and effort and expense to create an ARG to lure all of these people onto the boat only to just gun them down on the deck?
Yes, but I think what we actually learn is that what we thought was the Umbrella Corporation in the last movie, that was a Wesker joint, and Boob Scarab Jill Valentine is not having it.
I'm actually just going to read a quote from Paul Anderson from the commentary, in which he says, "If the logic police came to visit us, we would get closed down. And if you think that we didn't have these conversations on set, you're wrong." Apparently it was Mila Jovovich who was usually the one saying, "Wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense." And they're like, "Okay, seriously, we're making a Resident Evil movie. Let's go." So I too am going to shut the hell up and let Paul Anderson cook.
I think that's right. You got to let it wash over you. And I think when you're talking about serialized storytelling like this in any great volume, you have to kind of let some things go in the service of storytelling and enjoy the ride. I will say, I've mentioned before that I once watched every single one of these movies through to my first viewing of the final chapter in a single day. And people were sort of going through that experience. Somebody arrived about halfway through this movie. Like they were basically only going to watch the end of this and then the last one. So I paused it and tried to catch them up. And I spent probably 5 to 10 minutes trying to explain everything in order, in detail. And by the end of it, I felt like I was going insane. That was all. My brain is melting out of my face right now. Like I can't, I'm holding this all in my head. I think it makes sense. We're here for the ride. Let's go.
I'm on board. I'm now here for the ride.
She kind of passes out and she wakes up in a normie outfit that is better than the graveyard sweater, I would say. We now have proof that Alice can wear like a normal person outfit and it doesn't have to be graveyard sweater weird.
I have it in my notes as plaid wife.
So at first you're like, oh, is it a flashback? But because she's just like in a house cooking breakfast, something's happening. And then, oh, her husband is Oded Fair. What now? Carlos? And they have a daughter? What?
Carlos.
Oh, so good. He's so handsome in a business suit getting ready to go work.
Damn it, Carlos.
And then the zombies attack, because of course the zombies attack. Oded down. She gets her daughter out of the house. And they're running. It feels very the opening to Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, like the suburban fast zombie attack. Mm-hmm. But who should zoom up in a little car that for some reason has little leaf decals all over it?
I think it's like a Prius, or is it a Leaf? Or yeah, it's a
Rain. Michelle Rodriguez is back.
Yeah. Why? Who knows? Who could explain? Maybe the movie slightly later. But yeah, it's all your favorites. I will say the cruelty of bringing back Carlos and then killing him off, like a move they'll pull again in the same movie. I understand why they do it. In some sense, I'm just happy to see him again, but it's a little cruel.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, and I think that's a bit the point, and we can talk some about how we feel about the whole thing. So they hop in the car, but then the car crashes. You get a like welcome to or some reveal that we are in Raccoon City. It says, interesting. They leave Michelle in the car and keep running. Oded shows up with a tentacle face, which
No,
his beautiful face unfolds.
it's not what you want.
he kind of goes at Alice to eat her face. Snap to now Alice does her favorite thing, which is wake up naked in a facility.
In the commentary track, Mila Jovovich does say that she feels that the Umbrella Corporation committed industrial espionage and stole all of L'Oreal's good lighting tricks.
I love it. She said that.
And that she would be perfectly happy to live in an Umbrella-designed facility with all of its perfect diffused lighting at all times. Everybody looks beautiful. Everybody always looks their absolute best.
That's amazing.
I do like her hair color in this a lot, like in this sequence.
This is my favorite Alice haircut in the entire series.
Like the kind of honey, almost strawberry blonde.
And then the cut on it too. Like she just looks cool, and I don't know. I don't know. Does it for me. Does it for me. I would like to put that hairstyle on one of the other outfits.
We'll do some mix and match when we get to Liz's fashion corner.
Yeah.
So we're we're now caught up with Alice naked, and then except now she's going to get an exciting new outfit from a wall of her cell.
Yeah. Jill Valentine is in her control room being the big bad that has captured her, and the facility is like security system disabled, something. But it's not totally disabled because a little drawer pops open in the wall and gives Alice her fabulous new outfit.
Now, it's around this point where this movie starts feeling more like a video game than any of the other movies so far. And that's a feeling that's not going to change, for the record.
Do you mean when the computer reboots and tries to laser Alice and it's fully a video game level?
Yeah, and then you feel the screen pause slightly because your autosave is backing up as you prepare to enter a new level because you've reached a checkpoint. I legitimately not to leap ahead too far into the action, but when we enter Japan, I was like, oh cool, we just passed another checkpoint just now.
That's fair. Yes, she runs away from the laser grid and walks out into the Tokyo opening of the last movie, which does sort of make you doubt all of the reality that you have experienced so far in this franchise. Like, was the opening to 4 actually Tokyo and now they're recreating it? Or was it inside this facility? I do not know or necessarily care, but I like that I'm questioning everything I've ever known.
Jesse, is this something we have insight on from any commentary, or they were just like, we thought would be cool is doing Japan again?
It is most overtly pulling from the video game. They heard the fan response. This is the one that borrows most directly from the game, but this in a very meta way. I think the thing that's important is Paul Anderson is a person who does play and enjoy video games, and I think that this one in a weird way is an homage to playing a video game, not so much the game itself, but the idea of playing Resident Evil. This is like an adaptation of his experiences of playing Resident Evil in some way. We'll get to all of it in some detail. From a practical standpoint, they do mention that this was an amazing blank check that they wrote themselves in terms of being able to have lots of locations but keep the budget small, because they could skimp on some of the details and have it be like, oh, well, it's generated. It doesn't have to look like real Moscow. It doesn't have to look like real Japan. Like it can look like a set because it is a set, because it is part of our training facility. So we can go all these places and we can have a big, broad, sweeping story this time if we give ourselves the freebie on this one.
I think you get some cool juxtapositions. I really liked this moment where she walks out into Japan and it literally is the opening of the last movie with the girl in the rain and the businessman, and the girl goes full zombie and attacks. And then Alice starts fighting her and the other zombies, and they chase her back into the facility hallway she just came from. So now it's these very Japanese street scene people as zombies fighting Alice in the cold white hallway. And that's cool. That's and it happens so fast. It's just a really neat swap. And you get a lot of that when it's cut to Moscow or whatever. Fun.
Also, who amongst us has not gotten in over our heads in some part of a video game, and there's too many of them, and so you run back to the area. You run into the hall previous to that, and then they all chase you in there, and now they're all in the hall with you. That's a very that's a primal video game memory for plenty of people, Paul Anderson included, kiting a mob back into the loading area.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So in the midst of all that fight, Alice finds a bunch of guns, but more importantly, she finds Ada Wong, who is an operative for Wesker, but says that she doesn't work for Umbrella, and neither does Wesker. And spoiler alert, that basically turns out to be true. We've said as much already, but when she says it, you're kind of like, I don't know that you're someone I trust.
Alice also Alice knows her. She's like, oh, you're Ada Wong, Wesker's top agent. You're like, okay.
She did spend 6 years hunting Umbrella Corporation across the world in between 3 and 4.
I will give you some degree of that, but it was this is going back to our previous conversation about China. I definitely was wondering, like, why are we suddenly inserting this new character who's ultra badass and everyone knows her and everyone loves her, and oh, I get it now.
Wait. Jesse, before you say it, I want to say, so I watched this on a DVD copy of this movie that I inherited when I did that marathon day. I don't have the case for it. I don't know who brought it, but somehow just the disc ended up in my case for one of the other Resident Evil movies. So I have it. Great. Anyway, the previews on the movie were for the CG, like very video gamey movies that have come out for Resident Evil. I had the preview for, what was it called? Resident Evil Damnation, the animated movie. It has Ada Wong and Leon S. Kennedy all over Resident Evil Damnation. So when they showed up in this movie, I was like, y'all are video game characters. I know what this is. You are from the video game.
Yeah, they have both been in the game since Resident Evil 2. And she is the originator of a red dress in a Resident Evil video game, which for years I was confused about because I had seen pictures of Resident Evil video games, and then I saw the movie and I saw the dress, and I sort of conflated one asymmetrical red dress with belonging to a specific character as opposed to Alice. And I assumed that Alice was a video game character. Yeah, Ada Wong is finally in the movies, five films in, and was the #1 fan request, apparently.
And do you think this satisfied them?
No.
I hope.
Maybe. We'll talk about it. I would love to talk to somebody who is a big fan of the Resident Evil video games, who is a big fan of the character Ada Wong. We'll get into why as we go and see how they felt about that.
If you're out there listening to us and you're a big fan of Ada Wong, please get in touch. We will follow up in a later episode.
How do you feel about the movie? How do you feel about the movie version? Yeah.
Now Alice has a new friend, and she and Ada are going to go run around and do some asking of some sort. But first, Wesker has to deliver some exposition.
They gave Alice her fun new outfit. I want to know which of them designed it. I think it was probably Wesker.
Yep.
They want to get Alice out while Jill is hunting them because Alice, now having unpowered Alice, they need Alice's power blood to do whatever nonsense they're up to and fight the Umbrella Corporation. So they're going to try to get her out, evade Jill, and get her out. And what they're going to do to get through all that is run through this facility that Umbrella built with these simulated environments that was built to demonstrate local outbreaks to sell to the enemies of the people where the outbreaks are being demonstrated. So like, we're demonstrating an outbreak in Japan so that we can show it to China and be like, don't you want to do this to Japan? But we're simultaneously simulating an outbreak in China to show to Japan, and one in Moscow to show to the Americans, and one in American suburbs to show to Moscow, and all of these things. So that is why this facility and these environments chock full of T-virus monsters exist. And it's actually underneath the ocean outside of Kamchatka. Like, harsh on Russia to be simulating these murder scenes on Russia,
the
basically
other thing
in
I have
Russia.
To say is that when Wesker says the words "the testing floor," my notes were just like, this delivery is too horny. He is too horny for the testing floor. He's like, the testing floor.
The testing floor is 300 feet high. The ceiling black. It's usually night in there. But isn't that when the monsters come out anyway?
I would argue it is the exact right level of horny.
Oh, Wesker.
Commentary tidbit. They did see fit to include a Mila Jovovich commentary track on this movie. There's a technical one, which she acknowledges at the beginning nobody will be listening to since this one exists. But in that, when Wesker is giving this big giant speech, she teases her husband, director and writer Paul Anderson, and says, don't you think his accent and his just general delivery is a little bit like, he reminds me of Derek Zoolander.
The Umbrella Corporation derived its primary income from the sale of viral weaponry, something that's impossible to test in the real world. They recreated the center of New York, simulated an outbreak, showed it to the Russians, and sold them the virus.
Oh, thought you were gonna tell me what a bad Googleizer I am.
A what?
A Googleizer? One who speaks at funerals? Or did you think I'd be too stupid to know what a googly was?
A movie she is eminently qualified
Yes.
to comment on.
And she says it to him and really points it out. And then he says, well, yeah, maybe Wesker is sort of the Zoolander of the Resident Evil universe. And then he has a moment like in the middle of the commentary was like, that's it. Like, I'm going to be writing the next movie and I'm not going to be able to get it out of my head. You've ruined it.
Beautiful.
So now when we watch the next movie, we have to pay attention to if that is the case, if you can see the Zoolander shining through. So they've sent a team of commandos, including Luther. First thing I noticed, Liz, love interest Luther is back with no love-inhibiting sleeves to be seen. And he is part of the strike team that is going to go down from the outside to get them out when Ada and Alice escape. That is the plan. That is the mission. That is what we are doing.
This is also about the point in the movie where this is something I flagged entirely because of our past conversations, but they repeatedly use the word biohazard, which is very exciting, I know.
They said the name of the franchise. They did it. They said it.
They did it. Cut to closing credits.
It is also the point in the movie where we learn that the Red Queen is back and better than ever, controlling what is left of Umbrella Corporation. So we've kind of got a Wesker versus Red Queen situation. And it is the point in the movie where we get a 3D map.
Yeah.
That's the one that's hidden in her glasses? Yes. Ada Wong gives Alice a pair of glasses that she says will be really useful because she's going to go off and fight more zombies or something while Alice escapes. And then when she finally puts the glasses on, the map is there. And I had a moment where I was like, we haven't really had a 3D map of the facility yet. They're going to break the pattern. No, they were hidden in the glasses the whole time. So Alice and a 3D map remain the only things that have been in every single one of these movies so far.
Do you think Ada Wong's job at the Umbrella Corporation was creating 3D maps, and that's why she has those glasses, and she's been creating the 3D maps all along? Was she like executive vice president of 3D maps for Umbrella Corporation Tokyo?
I do not know, but I love this retcon, and I 100% buy it. I'm on board with it.
Yeah, I want to know like the corporate titles of all the Umbrella Corporation characters. So Alice and Ada fight their way through some monsters and they get to the suburbia set and they find the Alice clone that we get murdered by Carlos. So we're clone heavy at this point. Now we're back in clones on clones, y'all.
Ada says something utterly like drops like basically like a new like massive piece of lore to Alice, and then it kind of like they just sort of like gloss right past it about the like, oh, you were one of the base models.
Base models. Yeah, that's an insane moment.
The implication, because they're also there, is that Alice, Rain, and Carlos at least were never like necessarily actual people in the real world, but even the versions of them that we first met were clones created by the Umbrella Corporation.
I only took it as that Alice was the base model. I didn't realize that the Wikipedia descriptions back this up. Carlos and Rain are cloned from DNA they left behind what with dying in the previous Umbrella lab.
Yeah, but that can't be true for Alice because otherwise then they would have plenty of Alice.
Well, we've been through all the complications around cloning Alice.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of unrelated.
Like, who else are the base models? Well, the characters we see a lot, she says base models, more than one, and the characters we see a lot of are these characters we found. Because Alice, keep in mind, we met as part of the Umbrella Corporation, not really all that different from Rain.
I feel like this is maybe a plot thread that we shouldn't poke at too hard. Lest we make Paul W.S. Anderson sad.
But it's a pretty big one to drop. In that
it is an absolute insane thing to just sort of toss like a live grenade into the middle of the fifth movie. I was having a real like crisis about what does that mean for this character? Who is this character? Who is Alice? Which is funny because it feels like the whole thing is that she says the iconic line ends up being, "My name is Alice." She says it every time.
Do you think these are the exact conversations that Paul Anderson and Mila Jovovich were having like in bed at night? Like they climb into bed and turn on their reading lights and Mila turns over and is like, but is she a clone? Who is she really? Where did she come from? What was her childhood? These are things I actually need to know. And Paul's like, I don't know.
Sleepy boy.
This is a cool line, right?
That's a cool line.
I mean,
Lots
this is
of
also
cool
the
lines.
franchise that also gave us the T virus dried up all the water.
I did notice that when Alice gives us the now traditional DVD menu style recap of all the previous movies at the beginning, she's recapping pretty hard.
It's like a PowerPoint presentation. She's like got slides.
Yeah. And she does not at all mention that the T virus destroyed all the water on Earth. So I think they are like gently sweeping that one straight under the rug.
Not going to be mad about that. Let's just, we can all just move on. Clone issues aside, so we're back in suburbia, and we once again have Alice fighting her way out of the place, this time against Rain, because Rain is part of there's a second Rain who is part of the squad.
Yes.
Am I on the right track here?
Yes. There is a second Rain as part of the squad, led by Colin Salmon, who has also returned from the dead, also as a clone, the leader of the first ever Resident Evil Strike Force. Those never go well, guys.
So does this movie essentially represent characters from all four of the previous movies? Because you have Resident 1's covered, Jill Valentine from 2, and then Carlos from 3. And 2 and 3, and then you've got
Luther. You get Luther.
And Luther from 4. Yeah.
Hey,
so, not bad.
We're doing it. Well done. As they're running from Rain in the suburbia, Alice's daughter, or quote unquote daughter, runs up to her and is like, "Mommy, what happened to your clothes?" Because that cool outfit from Wesker is not the outfit she was wearing in suburbia before.
What was it? What did you call it again, Jesse?
Plaid wife.
Because she's a woman, she sees a small child and immediately becomes a mother and is filled with that motherly instinct. And the child is the most important thing, and she'll sacrifice anything to save her.
I actually sort of liked that her first instinct seems to be, I don't know what to do with this. Like
That's
she
true.
does. It actually takes her more than a minute to like get to the Ripley place. She, I think at first is like, I don't know what's happening and I don't know if I like it.
Yeah. No, that's very fair.
And to be fair, they almost immediately get separated because Hippy Dippy Rain shows up.
Oh, yeah.
And then they send the daughter off with Hippy Dippy Rain while Alice goes to do more kill. This is a Michelle tour de force. She really gets to do a lot.
I also will call out the stiletto gray boots she's wearing, not to get ahead of Fashion Corner, but those boots were insane. And I applaud her for literally doing anything in that high of a heel, let alone action sequence.
Paul Anderson says that he did it on purpose, that Michelle Rodriguez never wears a dress or heels in anything, and he thought it would be hilarious.
That is so mean.
Yeah.
But to her credit, she handles it well. It does differentiate that version of the character enough from the other version. But similar to how the Mila Cones in the previous movie, was that the previous movie?
Yes, that was. Yeah, I know it seems like forever ago, but that was just one movie ago.
Just one movie. We've just come so far. We've experienced so much.
Maybe we're living life to the fullest.
Well, we are certainly living life to the fullest. Something very important I want to call out in this sequence where Alice is leading them further into the facility, like down a subway track. So I was watching this very intently because, as mentioned, I was really fixated on the height of those heels Michelle Rodriguez was wearing. And so the part where they're hopping off the platform onto the subway track, I was like, okay, so watching Mila, she kind of hops down naturally, and then she picks up and carries the little girl. And then the other commandos start jumping down. I'm like, okay, how's it going to work with Michelle? Like, because those heels are not conducive to hopping off a subway platform. And I don't know, did you guys see what happens here? Was I the only one paying way too much attention to this?
No, I missed this. Please, I'm riveted though.
Is it Luther who's Boris Koji with the no sleeves?
Yes, that's Luther.
Okay, so we've been getting a little sexy tension between him and this new Rain. this whole time. And the way Rain gets from the subway platform to the tracks is he kind of puts his arm up like a scoop. And then she basically rests her ass on it, and he like lowers her down. I don't know if I'm giving it the proper words to describe the majesty of this woman.
I think resting your ass on Luther's bicep like a construction equipment.
Yes, that's kind of, it's like she's being lowered down by a crane. It's really magical. That was my diverting note. Where are we at now?
So we jump to Moscow, where Luther and the Goon Squad are fighting a giant brain monster. I like this giant brain monster a lot. This is the good Resident Evil stuff to me.
My notes say, I do not like this exposed brain dude.
You like not liking him?
The sign of a good Resident Evil monster if my reaction is, I do not like this gentleman. I do not think I would like to meet him. I think he is not great to be as company.
Fair enough. So Alice slams into the brain monster. Brain liquor. Shall we call it the brain liquor?
Brain liquor is good. I like brain liquor.
Does it have a real name, Jesse?
Liquor. I didn't make that up.
But we already have liquors. We need a brain. This guy's brain liquor.
You can call it the big liquor then.
No, the brain liquor.
Brain liquor,
sure. Their brains are exposed in all of them. I'm just pointing.
I don't think as prominently. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't really notice it before.
It got bigger and grosser this time, but it's been there the whole time.
Okay, fine.
I'm just going along with big liquor because I think it sounds sturdier.
So they're running away from the big liquor. They get into the Moscow subways and reunite with Rain and the daughter.
Yes.
And then we get some more Red Queen. And to your point, Liz, about this feeling like a video game, I feel like in the first movie, the Red Queen was like a cool hologram. And in this movie, I'm getting real quick time cutscene vibes. She's always on a screen.
Yeah, she has to basically say your princess is in another castle for the effect to really come through.
But really what she's saying is dispatch the biohazards. Kill biohazards. Kill. I think where we're at is they're in that tunnel, like you said, and this is where the big liquor returns and kidnaps Becky, which is Alice's daughter's name, into the mine shafts. So we're going full Newt and Ripley at this point, I think.
Yeah, no, I was literally going to call out the same thing.
And when the when the big liquor is attacking, it scratches a dude. I don't remember his name, but he's one of the squad guys with the beard.
That's Barry.
And that feels very okay, well, you got scratched by a T-virus monster, so you're gonna monster pretty hard, right? We've been to this rodeo a couple times. And in the ensuing folderol, Alice is gonna chase off after Becky, and Luther's like, I'll go with you. I'm Luther and I'm not wearing sleeves, so I know what's up in this movie. And somebody shoots frickin' Luther in the arm, so he can't go with her. He needed the sleeves, it turns out.
This is also where we say goodbye to good Rain, right? This is
the
liquor.
She gets just kind of knocked, KO'd. It's a little sad.
It's pretty rough. It's pretty rough.
Honestly, we keep bringing back beloved characters from previous movies, and then just killing them here.
We've done it to Alice several times already, and I guess we're pretty sure we're still getting the original Alice, but only pretty sure. The life is cheap of it all is a pretty consistent theme of the Resident Evil films, it turns out. And maybe a video game. Maybe that's also a video game thing. You die, you come back.
So Alice goes and rescues Becky and kills the big liquor.
Yes, she shoots. Well, she does. I think she stuns it by shooting it in its weak spot, which is, surprise, surprise, its giant exposed brain.
Convenient, that.
Yeah, I have huge points for this. Series consistency. It is then truly only destroyed by fire, which has been the only way that a liquor has actually been fully killed in any of these movies so far, is to somehow be incinerated. So I actually made a little note on that. I was like, oh, hey, good props on that.
They get also series consistency for whoever is the SVP of of designing DNA into things at the Umbrella Corporation, much like the little T-virus vials that are DNA helixes. In their escape, the big liquor chases them into that giant room with like the dry cleaning style racks of Alice clones that are moving through, but they're all on these like big DNA helix kind of rotating tracks, which I thought was super cool. And you get all the Alice's on Alice's.
I don't know this for a fact, but I would assume that that's just the student union at that same Canadian university.
Now, my important question is, both of you gentlemen are fathers. You're both fathers to beautiful young girls.
Mm-hmm. I'm
very curious. At what point do you have the conversation with your daughter about the clone army that looks just like you? Like, is that a difficult conversation to have? Like, do you have to discuss like when's the right time to talk about it? Like, how does that work? I'm very curious.
Every father treats it differently. My approach has been, I am secretly building an underground facility that replicates Los Angeles, where someday she will be trapped, and in the act of fighting her way out, she will either die or discover the truth about where she comes from.
Okay. That checks out.
Yeah, mine is actually just sort of designed as the final parenting lesson in raising a young daughter, in terms of like, you are going to meet many like people who remind you of your father over the course of your life, and some of them are good and some of them are bad, and some of them you shouldn't be hanging out with just because they remind you of your dad or somewhere. That might require you to look inward a little bit before you look outward. And so I have created this series of clones as my final lesson and final like test for you to pass, so that you can become a warrior princess who needs no daddy.
And maybe she, like Alice, will set off a bunch of bombs and destroy a big liquor and come to terms with how she does not need a daddy.
I sincerely hope that for both your daughters.
That's been the plan, Liz. It's been the plan for the last 11 years. That's why I went to go work for this weird pharmaceutical company.
And the health insurance.
While they're doing that, I guess Jill has taken Ada hostage and everybody is gunfighting everybody. And part of Jill's attack squad is another Carlos. So we get a fun beat of specifically Carlos and Luther having a gunfight for Alice's love and affection, or at least that's how I interpret that particular gunfight.
I think that's 100% correct.
Please note, Carlos is wearing sleeves in that gunfight, so we know who is going to win.
It's true. But again, it does mean we once again lose Carlos. R.I.P.
But that was bad Carlos. We didn't want bad Carlos.
I mean, if you give me the choice between no Carlos and bad Carlos, I'm going to think about it.
Liz is headed off to the Carlos dry cleaning facility.
I mean, we haven't clearly established whether or not that exists, but I want it to. That's a little too far. I don't know. I'm feeling silly, y'all. Where are we at plot-wise?
I got to tell you, I've only seen this movie twice, and I disassociated the first time, and I disassociated a little bit the second time too. Yeah. I remember everything that happens. I just can't remember the order because it's all just sort of.
I think I can get us there because the bombs that Leon S. It's a very specific name. What is his name? Leon
S. Kennedy.
It's so specific.
They're very specific about it.
Leon S. Kennedy sets off the bombs that he brought, and that starts flooding the facility, which was cool as hell to see like Moscow start to flood, right? In that way. Mm-hmm. Like another cool use of this like semi-fake setting is watching like water pour into a city where it shouldn't be pouring from. Like that was pretty rad.
I was going to say, yeah, then when we get to the New York set, it also floods. And that's where I noticed how many real life brands were featured in that scene.
Big time.
I can't remember any of them off the top of my head, but I was just like, oh, that's a lot.
I noticed it too. I did notice that was a lot of product placement. When you work in any part of the entertainment industry, clearing brands is like one of the hardest things to do. You develop this sense of like, if I'm seeing a brand, this was paid for in some way. Otherwise, they would have, made up Schmicktonalds or whatever. Actually, the Resident Evil games have really gone to town on all the signage and fake brands inside of them. It's like a lot of fun to look at all that stuff.
So the place is flooding. And then eventually we're on the surface, and Jill is holding Ada hostage at gunpoint. Michelle is making the really cool choice Evil Rain is making the really cool choice to inject herself with a cool new parasite that makes her like super everything.
Which I think Jesse told us about last time, right? Weren't we talking about the video games and you told us about this parasite?
It's an invention of the video game. Paul Anderson was excited about it because in the video game, they say that people who have this zombie parasite instead of the T-virus can still drive cars and motorcycles.
That's the specific.
Yes.
And submarines, maybe?
And submarines. Yeah, so they can hold guns, and they can ride motorcycles, but they can be zombies.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it.
So
I like it.
When Rain gets shot with a bunch of bullets, she just ejects them out of her fingernails or the tips of her fingers, which is a cool move. But more importantly, Rain hits Alice in the chest, and we get a 3D map of Alice's chest.
She kills Luther with it too.
It's very rude.
Asa, it's been a while, but when we owned a company together, I have a distinct memory that we owned Mortal Kombat games that we used to play. And I think that this was around the same time that the Mortal Kombat game started going for this, like, we zoom in on the body.
X-ray. Yes, you did a move and it would like zoom in, you break a bone inside the other person. And what was the movie? There was an action movie that did a lot of this. Was it a Jet Li movie that did a lot of like, we do an X-ray of what's happening when he punches someone so their ribs shatter?
Romeo must die. Amazing. But yeah, it felt like a lift from Mortal Kombat to the point that I thought to myself, was Paul Anderson playing Mortal Kombat on set?
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. And to give flowers where due, some things maybe feel like a lift from somewhere, but the moment you were talking about, Liz, where they like come up to the surface, like when they were running along the surface of the ice at first, I was like, oh, this feels a little Fate of the Furious just because they're on ice. And then the submarine came up right under them. And I was like, oh, it straight up is Fate of the Furious.
Crashing a submarine into your foes is a time-honored way to stop them from escaping.
Yeah, everyone knows this.
Truth.
But
just to say, this movie predates that movie by several years. So just credit where due.
Good job.
Absolutely.
Good job, Paul Anderson.
Can we talk for a second about Rain's death? Because in the fight with, so Alice and Jill and Rain are kind of all having a three-way fight. They are tri-curious, and Jill's boob scarab gets destroyed. And then Alice shoots the ice out from under Rain, and she falls under, and we do more cool underwater photography where zombies come up from the water and like up. It's like a mountain of zombies under the surface of the water that drag Rain down. And it's pretty horrific and not necessarily something that character deserves. Like, we don't do a lot of like, we're dragging you into hell deaths for villains in these movies. We just kind of dispatch them. And she gets like maybe she's injected herself with this virus and she's going to live forever, but be able to drive motorcycles, but she's not going to drive any motorcycles. She's going to live in a zombie mountain under the ice off the coast of Kamchatka for eons. What a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's the worst death. I think we don't have this as a superlative, but it is the worst death in the series in the sense that maybe not even death. She might still be down there.
I don't know that Rain deserved that, guys.
She does throw out quite a lot of pretty like mean taunts towards. I'm not saying that that's deserving of that fate, but she makes several very mean taunts. I'm immortal, bitch. I like shoot bullets out of my hands when you put them in me. There's nothing that's going to stop me. I'm going to fuck up your life and kill your dog. You know, nothing will ever stop me. And so there sort of seems like, well, maybe like a pyramid of underwater zombies dragging you to a frozen hell might slow you down long enough.
It certainly allows them enough time to get away.
Yes, the chopper shows up, and you're right, Liz. Alice does pass out again, and she wakes up still on the chopper, but like getting medical treatment, and Becky is there, and it's like, okay, maybe for once we're not going to crash this chopper and have Alice miraculously survive and walk.
Yeah. Also on the chopper, I have this in my notes, and I remember the scene. I just can't remember who the his is in this sentence for my notes. Ava should have snapped his hand off.
It is Leon S. Kennedy.
It's Ada.
Ada. Yeah, you're right. Jeez, I do keep doing that.
Mila
Ada.
Jovovich.
Yeah, Ada should have snapped his hand off. Which leads to a general question about, if Ada's such a badass, why is she wearing a asymmetrical red dress aside from it being the fashion of the time?
It's what the Umbrella Corporation issues their top security person.
Sure.
Right.
How dare I question it?
But yeah, he does. There's a moment where she's having kind of a happy moment with Becky, and then Leon tragically misreads the entire scene and is like, grab Ada Wong's thigh and just see what happens. And she moves it. But it's you're right. Yes, more was warranted.
It's a fascinating character beat to drop at basically the end of the movie, though.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like a we're getting together. It's a I'm definitely not interested, and that wasn't really set up or paid off anywhere else. It's just a nice little character beat for you right at the end.
It's time for Jesse's Video Game Corner, which will hopefully help explain some of this. In the second Resident Evil, the primary protagonists are Claire Redfield, of not Claire Redfield's convoy, of just looking for Chris Redfield, and Leon S. Kennedy. And they are thrown together at the beginning, and then they are separated, but they're constantly talking, and you can go on one of two adventures depending on who you decide to follow. Leon's adventure brings him into contact with Ada Wong, and they have a multiple game back and forth where maybe she's a bad guy and she's helping him, and then she betrays him, and then she's helping him some more, and then she betrays him, and maybe she's good and maybe she's bad. And so you can read that moment, I think, in the context of, if you know the video games, this is a bit like, oh wait, I was really excited for this. I've been waiting for this for years. Is it going to happen? And then the filmmaker being like, no, go back to your horny corner and your slash fiction. This isn't happening. I think that hand slap was for the fans in Archive of Our Own.
Something I haven't done yet with the Resident Evil franchise, and maybe I'll wait to do it until the next movie, is look at the listings for various fandoms and see what the most popular couples are. Because you can sort on AO3 by relationships, essentially. And there's some horrors to be found in this, by the way. There ages ago, I looked at Harry Potter. I don't read any of this, to be clear. I enjoy looking at the pairings. But I'm specifying this because in Harry Potter's case, I think at that time the number 2 most shipped relationship was Harry/Snape, which no es bueno, do not want. Fandom it's delightful, but yeah, I am very curious to know what the slash rankings are for this series of films.
So unfortunately, nobody is slashing anybody in the romantic sense for the rest of this movie. You might hope, dear listener, that they've all gotten onto a helicopter, and apart from a slight romantic rebuffment, all is well, and they're flying off into the sunset. But no, they are flying off to a ruined Washington, D.C., where Alice is whisked through the White House, because she's a very important person, and into the Oval Office, where we meet President Wesker.
Now, by the way, real props to this helicopter for being able to get from the outskirts of Russia to Washington, D.C. That's only about half the globe.
They went over the top.
See, oh yeah. Sorry, I forgot that it's faster that way.
So President Wesker does as Wesker does, which is move at super speed to inject people with things, and reinfects Alice with the T virus, because
why not?
The Red Queen is determined to destroy all life on Earth, and they are the last humans, although I think it's arguable if they count as humans anymore. And so they need superpowered Alice back for humanity's last stand. And they all go and they stand on the roof of the White House, so we can get a cool hero shot as we pan out from the White House of them and all the army dudes and the barricade that has been made and dragons. Now there are dragons, you guys.
Okay, I'm so
Yes.
glad you called them dragons because my thought was LOL dragons.
Also, did you notice in like towards the end when one of them flies right up to the camera that they have Umbrella Corporation logo designed wings?
Yes.
Amazing. I mean,
Yes.
there's a part of me that was wondering, like earlier in this discussion, if the reason they made a point of bringing back all this big Umbrella Corporation stuff is that this is kind of like the final chapter of the Umbrella Corporation's part of the story. Now it's just kind of the humanity's last stand against like the remaining monsters that have been that roam the earth.
I think the way Wesker sets it up is that the Red Queen is now Umbrella Corporation. Like
Right.
she booted him, she controls it. So it is humans versus the Red Queen. Yeah, depending on how you conceive of the Umbrella Corporation, I'm not like I think of Wesker himself as more the Umbrella Corporation. So I don't know where they fall in all of this.
I mean, it's going to be. I'm very excited at this stage for the sixth movie to see how it all kind of wraps up. But yeah, that is the plot of Resident Evil Retribution at this stage. We did it.
What do we think is going to happen now that there are dragons?
Yeah, Liz, what do you think happens next?
I kind of want Alice to get a suit of armor, and I kind of want her to fly on her own dragon and kill a bunch of dragons. I don't know if I'm just pitching a completely different movie than the Resident Evil franchise will give me. I'm sure actually she's probably already made this movie. But otherwise, like, the thing is that if the next movie is just hyper-focused on this last stand fighting off the hordes outside the fortifications that they built up around the White House, I'm going to be a little disappointed because so far what this franchise has consistently done has surprised me.
It is called the final chapter. So what do you think is the end of this franchise?
Well, probably the death of Alice, presuming such a thing is physically is like possible. But yeah, I feel like for the same reason that I'm not allowed to look at the Wikipedias anymore, I'm excited. I don't know, and I'm kind of excited to find out.
As I said when we started, I only remember that at some point there's a motorcycle. That is the only thing that I remember. So I can confidently predict that at some point there's a motorcycle.
And more importantly, 3D maps.
I don't know, Liz. Honestly, like that has been the biggest nail biter for me doing this series at this point. Is like because I'm invested in. Is there going to be a 3D map? And we're 5 for 5 so far. We're 5 for 5 so far, and I really hope they find a way. I have discovered a new love for the films of Paul W.S. Anderson as a result of doing this. Like I've started to really respect him as a filmmaker and offered the chance to see some more of his films on the services I pay too much for. I started watching an extended cut of Alien versus Predator, which I didn't know existed. And there are additional 3D maps. The Predators have their own 3D map that they are looking at sometimes, and like in a room where they're all standing around like, oh, 3D map. It's pretty good. There are multiple 3D maps made by different parties. You can see the different 3D map technologies across different civilizations, and I have come to respect it. So I think there's a high likelihood that there is going to be a 3D map in the final Resident Evil movie. I don't want Alice to die. I hate that shit. After all of this, I want her to go somewhere where she can wear her graveyard sweater and feel unharassed.
Last shot of this movie is just Alice, a graveyard sweater on a beach somewhere. I'm gonna lose my mind.
No, I want that for her, and I want some semblance of normality. Again, I know that this is, real life and that doesn't matter, but a tiny little part of my brain which knows this fact has been like going off the whole time. Every time they keep winnowing down the human population, that the minimum number to restart the species is 5,000. And honestly, you need more. And I was upset when they listed that there were only 2,000 people on the Arcadia. Because I was like, you still need to find 3,000 more people for this to work, guys. And now we're down to like, oh yeah, no, the last people fit in the White House. So there
were soldiers on the barricades and stuff.
Yeah,
I think there might be
But Leon S. Kennedy makes it very clear, like, this is it. This is where the last people are. So I am a little bit worried. I could do with less. I could do with less of the video game characters and more of the characters that have sprung from the organic storytelling to have prominent roles in the final chapter, but I don't know if that will happen.
I mean, my feeling is that I'm not minding when the video game characters show up as long as they feel like properly established.
Yeah, where do we think this movie falls in the scope of this franchise so far?
So let's have the discussion here about like bringing back characters we liked and then just killing them off again. Because like, I don't want to be like precious about it. Like I'm not like watching a Resident Evil movie because I expect everyone to live. But it did feel a little almost pointed at some.
I think it's a tough one because the movie's not giving us any new characters.
Except for Ada.
Yes, but new characters to love. Like,
right.
Like the other movies have given us at least a couple, like we get a Carlos and Claire and a Kmart. We get Claire still and now her brother, like Chris, like it's always like, and Luther in 4, right? Like we're always getting some folks, even if a lot of them die. And this was the people we get are people back again, dying over and over again, and nobody new to like kind of join the gang except I guess Becky, who's a little bit of a non-entity. Yeah. And so it doesn't, for being, yes, horror, like zombie movies where you don't expect anyone to live and hardly anyone does live for more than 2 movies at a stretch, except for Alice. They do a really good job of giving us characters I really care about in most of these movies.
No, and I think that they paved over some of it because, you know, the theory was that people really wanted to see. So Barry is a video game character. He's actually voted everyone's like most likable, most lovable character in the entire Resident Evil franchise. He's the funny in the original games. Has a famously terrible delivery of a lot of lines that became like people became quite enamored of, you know, in that way. And then Leon and Ada are like fan favorite characters from the entire game series, and they are translated here in a way that is, I think the thing is that there's something about the reason that these movies end up working is that the game ideas up until this point are often translated like alchemically through Paul Anderson and Mia Jovovich into something that makes sense for a movie as opposed to just like being airdropped straight from the video game exactly as they are. And Leon and Ada are both just basically carbon copies of the video game thing. It's weird because that was the mistake they made in the second movie in the franchise. And then they kind of learned from it and brought in new interesting people and translated those scenarios. Claire Redfield is not the Claire Redfield from the games, but like has like enough of that DNA, but is like a character who makes sense to be friends with Alice. And these characters like Leon and Ada in this movie don't make sense as friends that Alice would have.
I think this movie did what it needed to do to set up the final battle. And it gave us a little bit of that, like, we've got a big reveal. We're giving you your old friends back one last time as we like hurtle towards the 3 movies later than I thought it would be end of this franchise, right? For Paul Anderson. Yes. And so we get some like expansion of the lore, some solutions, but it is more like table setting to get us to the last stand. It does that.
Franchise talk. They wanted these movies to be shot back to back. They wanted 5 and 6. They wanted 5 and 6 shot back to back. Anderson didn't want to do it, but you're not wrong. Like you're reading what is laid out. That is the plan.
I respect a movie that plays so hard into the idea that it's going to require a sequel to feel like fully wrapped up. If you're already thinking that way when you're making it. Like I cover both film and TV, but my primary focus initially at the beginning of my journalism career was more TV. And so I usually do look at film franchises through that lens. Like I've been arguing for years now that that the MCU is best approached as a TV show. And so I've been thinking about these things for like that for a while. And I find it Is for the same reason I find it frustrating when a TV show chooses very deliberately to end with a dramatic cliffhanger without fully knowing whether or not they'll be able to resolve it. Like, that frustrates me. But I feel like, at this stage in the Resident Evil history, the movies are making enough money that they can feel fairly confident about the fact that they will be able to make a sixth one. So yeah, this is my way of saying I didn't love this one as much as others, but I did really enjoy certain elements of it, and I'm excited. I'm glad that they, or at least vaguely, they were reading it as the penultimate chapter.
This is my least favorite one. And it was the last time too. After I saw 4, I was all back. I was all in the ending of that movie and just everything that was going on. And it was like firing on all cylinders, and it felt really fun again. The movie felt fun. I remember going to a theater to see this one and being like, all right, here we go. Guaranteed good time. And it starts that way. And then it really falls off a cliff for me. And I think maybe it's wrapped up in, here are some things that you liked, but we're going to take them away from you. But it felt like that kind of like on a meta level. And where it ends up, she's standing on the roof of the White House, with a bunch of monsters I don't care about, with a bunch of people that I really, truly don't care about. And in a couple of cases, like really bumped up against the performance in some way, or, it felt, it felt hokey and janky for the first time, and it broke the spell a little bit for me. That even though Resident Evil is hokey and it is janky, kind of in its haha DNA, this time I think it's sort of like it was showing its cards a couple of times in a way that just didn't feel fun.
Yeah, you wanted a Luther and a Claire up there, or you wanted it to feel more important that she's facing off against this threat with Wesker. But there's something about like how quickly that happens. It's almost like, and my brain is having trouble processing what this movie would have been, but if you replaced Ada Wong's role in the story with Wesker, and the movie was Alice and Wesker having to work together to escape the facility, and that like earned them the begrudging trust to now face off against the Red Queen, that would have felt better. But I really can't process what having that much Wesker in the movie would have been like.
They could have done it with Jill. They could have had the boss fight with Jill earlier on and had Jill back.
You kind of don't lose anything from that because you have Jill as a fun character, but you don't really need her leading the commando force, especially because she's not even really her. It's her under the control of the boob scarab. So yeah, I agree. Like, knock the boob scarab off Jill much earlier and have her be kind of like a fun character.
I think whatever it was, I think you're right, Jesse. There's something about the ending. The end of these movies has always been like it's sort of a cliffhanger, but it's also sort of just like a wonderful what moment. Like, that's what works about them. And this felt maybe like a more traditional cliffhanger that didn't have that Resident Evil. I mean, the dragons were maybe a what, but
yeah, branded dragons is good.
Branded dragons were up there. But yeah, it just, there's something didn't feel quite there.
Here's part of the problem. We haven't talked much about Li Bingbing, who is the actress who plays Ada Wong in and she's a very well-known actress in China. Here's a fun fact. That's not her voice in the movie.
Yeah, I saw a mention of that on Wikipedia. I'm allowed to look at it now that I've seen it.
Yes, you are allowed to look at it now, Liz. We haven't banned you from Wikipedia for life. The studio made them dub her because they didn't love her. They didn't love her accent. And so they replaced her with the voice actress from the video games.
Which is kind of like, I mean, if you're going to, I appreciate that as the touch, but also it kind of sucks that she got dubbed in the first place.
It sucks that she got dubbed. It sucks more because the thing about the Resident Evil video games is that they're kind of like well known for, I'm going to just call it a different style of acting. That's how we're going to describe it here. They're known for a different style of voice acting, and they do have like a style to it that is consistent throughout, much in the same way that, you're expecting something different from going, to, commedia dell'arte or a melodrama than you are expecting from, going to whatever the new like hot play is at the Amundsen. It's not that one is necessarily better than the other, but they do have like a different style. But transposing one, because the voice actress is just straight up performing Ada Wong the way that she has always performed Ada Wong, and I don't fault her for it entirely in terms of like the assignment, but I think I didn't know that until I watched it this time, but I ended up having to Google it because I was like, what's going on here? This performance feels really wooden or wrong in a way. And then you hear the actress's actual voice, you hear her speak actual English. I'll play a clip.
Sunup is in less than a minute. Nobody speaks Chinese. There's only English. You know what it is? And I have to try my best to understand everyone. Let's move. We're behind schedule. In this movie, I have to reset all the line. Come on. I really enjoy to do action movies. So this time I play Ada Wong. It's like fantastic. I like fight part, gun shooting part. It's amazing for me.
Her accent's not even that heavy.
Yeah, and that's her giving an unscripted interview. And yeah, her English isn't perfect, but she's not being asked to come up with the lines on the fly.
She's got a great voice. She's so fucking cute. Like there's something about her that like that voice fits that body. And all of a sudden it makes a lot more sense when she says those lines. It was I was feeling insane, and I feel so much more saner having just seen that clip and seen how she really talks.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame she didn't get to say her own goddamn lines, because she probably could have done a very decent job of it.
In the same way, they describe the casting for Leon S. Kennedy basically as follows, which is we have to find someone who looks like Leon S. Kennedy. And Anderson mentions the near impossible casting challenge because action boys in this era have all shaved their heads. And anyone who still has floppy hair is doing Regency romance and could never be plausibly like seen to be holding a gun. So they find this guy who looks like him and who just studies YouTube clips of the character in the game, which again, so like his delivery also feels a little bit weird, but it makes more sense when you realize that he's just doing an impression of the character's voice in the game, which is again, commedia dell'arte.
A little disappointing.
I just went to look him up because I just wanted to see the video game version of him so I could get a better sense of what you're talking about. And the top hit is for the Resident Evil wiki, which tells me that his name is Leon Scott Kennedy.
Oh. I've never heard the full name. I only ever know the S. I wonder which Resident Evil installment they finally reveal what the S stands for. Okay. Well, anyway, that was I don't know. I feel like this, I've gone on about the gamer tax a couple of times on this, but I feel like this is the point where I feel like this is where it all sort of starts to really sort of fall apart in terms
this
of
movie
like, well,
paid the heaviest gamer
the
tax.
heaviest one.
Yeah.
I would, and it really there are whole sequences that are lifted from the video games in this movie. I mean, it's structured like a video game. I don't know. It doesn't hold. I can't hold it all in my brain in a logical sequence. Like because this, therefore this, doesn't work with this movie's plot.
Yeah, it's an interesting. The gamer tax is interesting in this one or in this franchise because it starts off so sort of willfully separate from the video games and what's happening in the video games. And over time, more and more creeps in. And I say this without maybe having done the research, but my instinct is that normally it would be the reverse, that something starts by trying to be more slavishly faithful. And then enough sequels, it drifts away because it just starts by necessity, almost has to start doing its own thing. So it's weird that this one like found such massive success by kind of going, we don't need to worry about this too much, and yet still started worrying about it too much.
So the other video game character that we barely talked about is, Barry, because he's a favorite video game character who is in the movie and then dies fairly early on, somewhat nobly.
Barry is the one that like stays behind because he's been scratched, so he knows he's a goner.
The funny thing is, he's played by a great character actor, and I was starting to like him, and he has like a funny line or two, and he becomes very endearing. I was like, no, don't kill the one who not him. The other one.
I mean, more than fair.
Kevin Durant's great in almost everything he's in too. He's always fun. He has like a natural sort of like charisma there. And anyway, I feel like that was probably doing Barry a bit dirty too. I think that was a little bit of don't worry guys, like we're not like the video game characters are not all sacred cows. We're not afraid to kill a video game character from the series too.
But you're killing off one of the ones that actually provided some jokes.
Is
the jokes
actually wait, is the lineup at the end on the White House, is it all video game characters and then Alice and her new daughter?
Yes.
Because it's what? Wesker, Ada Wong, Jill Valentine,
Leon S. Kennedy. And Alice. Yeah. It's like they got their Avengers moment, right? Like, that's the frame grab for everybody who loves these video games, who's always been dreaming of seeing these things all together on the big screen. That's your moment.
But for those of us who are fans of the movie series and not necessarily the video games, that was like Alice and a bunch of weirdos I don't know.
Yes. Whoops. Fashion corner!
This is like when you try to sing happy birthday over Zoom. It does not happen.
Okay, so it's Fashion Corner with Liz and the boys.
All right, so yeah, we've got some exciting outfits. As Jesse, you've done a wonderful job as always breaking them down in the outline. Got plaid wife Alice.
Yes, I had that later.
Plaid wife wins just for best name.
Yeah,
a new superlative for Jesse.
Yeah, and then we got the fantasy pajamas. Then we got the Wesker designed umbrella corset battle suit. We've talked about Rain in her heels already. We've got Carlos with his various ensembles, which Jesse has labeled Carlos beautifully. We got I believe that is the look that Jesse describes here as call him daddy.
He's a dad.
He is a dad, and he's also a daddy. I'm not entirely sure what daddy means these days in certain cultures, but I'm pretty sure this is what it means.
Yes.
And then we've got zombie casual, and then we've got him becoming a bad guy soldier again. We've talked about Luther and his beautiful tank top, and then occasional need to wear like warm clothing, which it happens.
That's my favorite part. That he has this big, like woolly, like furry jacket that they've issued him to go invade Russia with, but he's still wearing the tank top underneath it.
He needs to be unencumbered. People need to see his arms.
If I had arms like that, I would never stop wearing tank tops.
That's fair.
Of course. Jill has her purple bodysuit, which she never changes. Like one of the few examples of a character just remaining consistent outfit wise from one movie to another.
Jill Valentine has only had two outfits.
If you've got the scarab, you're not upgrading your fashion. You wear your scarab suit.
Of course. And then the previously discussed 801 asymmetrical red dress, which I still think is a little impractical.
I'm sorry.
I think Alice's red dress is way more practical than this dress.
But I do really appreciate that Jesse listed it as other red asymmetrical dress.
So, all right. But Alice's best outfit, which current champion here is the Apocalypse trench coat with the hot shorts and the gartered stockings. As much as I respect the umbrella corset battle suit, and maybe when I think about this franchise as a whole, that's the outfit I think of Alice wearing, just because I remember that poster had a real impact on me when I first saw it. Oh. Trench coat still wins, in my opinion. I don't know. Where do you guys land?
I feel like we barely talked about the corset battle suit, which says to me it's not cutting through the noise here.
I mean, the X-Men did it better.
Previously on this podcast, remember the very first episode when I showed you the alternate ending for the first Resident Evil movie in which Alice raids the facility to get Matt back, and she's wearing almost exactly this outfit. Also, what appears in this movie is the gun that shoots missiles that split into more missiles. That was also first seen in that alternate ending for the first movie. He finally gets his gun that shoots missiles that split into more missiles. So it's prophetic in a way, but no, it's not my favorite. And I think that at this point, these movies are now like directly duking it out with the underworld movies. And I still feel like the skin tight black shiny outfits belong to underworld, and Resident Evil had plenty of other awesome clothes.
Yes, agreed.
All right. Worst outfit is, has, and always perhaps will be the graveyard sweater.
There's a part of me that kind of hopes that something in the sixth movie knocks it out. But yeah, graveyard sweater, undefeated.
Part of me wants to go back and look at the graveyard sweater again. I feel like maybe we've built it up in our mind.
Maybe
Guys,
we should.
No, we can't do it. I thought about doing it, well, because I've been editing these episodes and we've said graveyard sweater a lot. And every time we do, I start to have a fear that we Mandela affected the graveyard sweater and there is no sweater at all. And so I have not rewatched that scene because I think it'll be funnier to wait until the end to check our work and have everybody else just slowly going insane while they say, what are they talking about? She's not wearing a sweater. But we've imagined this anthropology outfit that she's wearing in the graveyard scene. And I'm just like, maybe we can manifest it.
It also might be a really nice sweater. I don't know.
It could be. We could be really wrong. We could get to the end of this and be like, what are we talking about? That sweater slaps.
It's a new and exciting twist waiting for us with the sixth movie is going back and looking. The thing is that if there had been better sidekicks in this movie, I would be open to knocking out Carlos, our current winner in this category. But I mean, aside from Luther and his little scoop maneuver with Rain, I don't. Nothing really sparked for me here.
If anything, after watching this movie, I have a greater appreciation for what Claire Redfield brought to the table, and maybe Claire, who is not in this film, is the best sidekick.
I think Carlos is holding it in a bracket at the moment, though. Currently, best action sequence is the Vegas fight. Although this is the end of the Vegas fights. Rain. The opening reverse action shot sequence is as we all mentioned, maybe one of the film's redeeming features. I also quite like the zombie hallway fight after the Shibuya sequence as well. And there is something to be said for the Jill, Alice, Rain boss fight at the end of the movie.
I'm gonna say that if there's one of the options you mentioned, I would go the opening sequence. Like as I mentioned, it's my favorite part of the movie. It rules.
Is it better than the Vegas sequence? I think it's easily the best action sequence in this movie. Is it the best action sequence in the franchise?
To date, on an execution level, I'm tempted to say yes, just because it's not just the most imaginative, creative sequence of this movie. It is, I think, the most imaginative, creative sequence of the entire series so far. I'm just saying, like, on an action choreography level, I'm not 100%. It's like the Vegas, I think the reason we keep celebrating the Vegas fight is that there's a lot of different elements that are synchronized in a really important way, and it covers a lot of material. And it does all of that with pretty good execution. Jesse, where are you landing?
I had forgotten that that's how the movie opened, and when I understood what was happening and how it was laying it out and the storytelling reason for doing it that way. From a technical standpoint, this movie's also shot in 3D. They have switched to like synchronized red cameras, so they're a little bit smaller, they're a little more maneuverable, so he's able to do more with them. The best part of the commentary track with both Anderson and Jovovich in it is the opening where she forgets, honestly, she drops the usual. She's funny always, but she keeps a wall up in terms of their relationship most of the time. But during that whole sequence, she's just like, oh God, baby, you did so good. It's so good. You're so cool.
Aww. I love that.
That's beautiful.
So yeah, I think it comes damn close. I remember all those beats, and I remember individual shots of it a lot more. But yeah, I think as a fight, it's pretty hard to maybe beat the director of Highlander. The only thing I'll say about all the action sequences, I know this weird little fact that Anderson gave an interview, same thing I read, that a lot of the wire stuff had been kind of played out by that point, and audiences were getting used to it, and they could tell that hits weren't connecting, so they had switched to a Thai style of fighting and hired new fight choreographers. So basically it was like, actually a lot of people are physically actually getting hit in this movie, but there's a reason why all the action feels really good in this and all the fights like really look like they connect, because oftentimes they weren't hitting each other hard, but they were actually connecting. They weren't pulling, and there was a lot less wire work or stuff this time. So it did feel different. I thought the action fights, the martial arts in particular, was really good, and I like the opening, but it might be hard. I'm tempted to leave it still the Vegas fight because you're right. It communicates a lot more of what's going on.
I feel like maybe there's a place we could mention the opening sequence later. So we've got now we've got next up we've got most ridiculous overall moment,
which is currently held by Wesker's sunglasses attack.
I don't think we're beating that.
Thrown that.
No, there's not a lot in there. There's not a lot in here this time that can beat that. Best thing from the game currently held by Claire Redfield or Wesker's sunglasses. This time around, we do have zombies that can drive the bigger liquor, or I'll see your one executioner and raise you two executioners.
I think of those contenders, bigger liquor is the most likely candidate, but I'm going to let Asa make this call.
Ooh, we have Monster later. I left off Leon and Ada, obviously, but I don't think that they are the best things from the game.
I mean, look, maybe when we do our end of series wrap up, if Claire takes best sidekick, I'll be willing to dethrone her here, but I need Claire on this list.
Fair.
Yeah.
So best thing the movie's made up, not Alice. We've still got Red Queen as the current champion. But we could celebrate Rain here. We could talk about little Becky in all of her not a characterness.
I would love to dethrone the Red Queen, but only because the Red Queen is not great in this movie. For some reason, she is less scary and weirder looking than her previous incarnations. And I would love to take her off the list this time. I feel like Rain has become more interesting, especially now that like we can have lots of Rains, and they're all different.
But let me throw out something else. Tell me if this is in the game. Umbrella Corp branded dragons?
I would assume they are, but I mean, I got to look it up.
Because if Umbrella Corp branded dragons aren't on the list, and I think that's our new thing.
That, on the other hand, is that the most ridiculous overall moment? Because when that dragon flapped its wings, and I was like, "That's the Umbrella Corporation logo."
Yes, I think
probably not. It's not more ridiculous than the sunglasses attack. Sunglasses attack. Even just saying it, I know that the answer in my heart is sunglasses attack.
There are Resident Evil dragons.
They kind of have a Jabberwocky vibe.
Yes. It might actually, there are a few of them. We can leave it at the Red Queen. The Red Queen was good enough that even Paul Anderson was like, you know what? What we need more of here is the Red Queen.
So moving on to our favorite monster, this is leading me. Our current champion is face-splitting Dobermans from the previous movie. But did she fight any dogs in this movie?
No.
Oh, there's no Doberman for the first time.
No, what is the point? What is the point? I ask you.
You guys, if there's no zombie Doberman, and what if in the next movie there's no zombie Doberman and no 3D map? Is it even a Resident Evil movie?
These are the really serious questions that this podcast is determined to investigate.
I've been saving this fact, but I suspect this is why there are no dogs in this movie. The zombie dogs were historically on every single one of these movies a problem because they would fit them with these suits to make them all gross and disgusting and cover them in like flayed flesh and things. The dogs were fond of the taste of the makeup and were constantly eating their own faces off. Please
tell me there's some footage of that. That's like put that.
Don't know, but it's just a story that they tell every single commentary track, to the point where they're like, we changed breeds of dogs this time and we changed the suit, and like we feeling much more confident. Or this time, like finally, like they were just CGIing all of the stuff on the dog because it was less expensive and less of a hassle than dressing them up. So I think possibly this time around, Paul Anderson was like, you know what, I'm going to produce from the script phase. And just, there are no dogs in this facility.
Fair enough. But that being said, movie 6, we know what we want. Best music. I hated the score for this movie. And mostly because I kept watching some of these action sequences I would be watching and being like, there's no energy to this music. And everything played, like there were certain sequences that just played super flat for me because it's just like the music I thought really fell flat. I don't know if you guys had that. Sorry, good.
No, I just have facts. All I got are facts.
Okay.
Yeah, they did the last film as well. We actually voted that one our favorite music in all of them so far. They brought him back this time to do this one, and then weirdly, I think this is a case of spending too much money. I do know. I forget where I read it, but Anderson mentioned something about, we brought him back and we gave them, like, we wanted an orchestral version of everything that they had done so far. So they threw like a whole symphony orchestra at them. And I think it doesn't I think there's a raw, like the identity of these movies is sort of built around, that early 2000s sort of like rock metal, electronic, bleed in. There's a roughness to it. And I think the orchestral score, the only other time it's been deployed was the second movie, which is my least favorite music in the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So we're vaguely on the same page.
We're on the same page. Last time was all bangers, and this time I was like, you could kind of hear the old themes that they did last time. Like they show up again, like when the executioners are on screen, and you're like, all right, this is starting to cook again. But then, it does sort of fall a little bit flat. But I have flat feelings about this entire film.
I'm certainly not going to say that this orchestral Tom and Andy beats previous Tom and Andy because previous rants.
I think we got our answer on that one.
The most out of left field thing so far was the graveyard scene in which the long dead rise. I listed Wesker's instant heel turn, which has a General Hux, I'm the spy sort of feel to it. Ada and Leon just now showing up, or the very rapid destruction of the Arcadia and everything, all stakes from the previous film in the opening moments of the following film. This film.
Can I throw in there also Ada and Leon's romantic beat not romantic beat, rebuffed romantic beat?
But yes.
Yeah, you know what? As much as I am still mad about that graveyard scene, I would be prepared. I would be prepared to, because that moment is just so fucking stupid and weird and random, and no, it doesn't make either character look great. I don't know.
It's done. The dead rising is not as out of left field as Leon thinking that this is the moment to make a move on a coworker.
Yeah, I think that's well deserved.
Is that the thought? Does he grab the thigh that has the knife strapped to it?
Is that an important detail for you?
Well, in terms of how stupid is Leon.
So we most want to see resolved. Why keep bringing back characters to kill them in front of us?
I mean, I think now it's base models. Like, like they gave us a huge breadcrumb, and now I want the whole cake. Like really, really badly.
More like we need the whole cake, or we're just going to we're going to continue to spiral.
Hey, I got an answer for you about last time though, because Liz, last time we listed thread we most wanted to see resolved is why blonde. I looked it up for you.
Oh,
so I can resolve that for you because the movie is not going to do that.
Good.
According to the video games, it's a like allergic reaction that she has to the boob scarab. Jill Valentine turns blonde because she's having a chemical, like hormonal allergic reaction to the mind control chemical that is being pumped into her by it's a more of an organic thing in the game than but the parasitic boob device in the game turns her hair blonde, and Wesker even has an explainer line about she had a strange biological reaction to it and it made her blonde.
I for some reason
I have a new nominee for most ridiculous overall moment.
Jesse saying that out loud.
I tried to do a good Wesker there for you.
It was a very good Wesker.
The secret, as it turns out, is to realize that it's just a little Zoolander.
Mila, you're my favorite. So, best cliffhanger in the series. I kind of have to say White House getting attacked by dragons is not a pretty cool cliffhanger.
Yeah, Army of Alice clones is the current best cliffhanger in the series.
You seem reluctant to knock it out.
I was more fist in the air for Army of Alice clones.
That's fair. I'm fully okay with Army of Alice clones enduring. And then finally, who is living life to the fullest?
Currently, it's Luther. Star power, bitches.
That's right. Star power, bitches.
No one was living life more fully than Luther was in the previous film. I think fair to say. Maybe Daddy Carlos, that's fair, but like, with how real was that?
That was we didn't get enough of that for it to really sink in. So yeah, I think Luther continues, unless Jesse, you feel differently.
It's hard to beat star power bitches climbing out of a sewer drain after being left for dead into as far as living life to the fullest.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe he'll come back as a clone that also gets to live life to the fullest in the next movie. A girl can hope.
All right, then. And I have a question for you.
Yes.
Do you have a question?
My biggest question is, are they going to stick the landing? Am I going to leave this feeling like this was the final chapter and I don't need another chapter?
And I think if you frame it that way, you will definitely get what you want, because it's called the final chapter. And we know, because this happened 10 years ago, that unlike Jason and Freddy, when they called it the final one, they actually meant it and they just stopped. So like, it does close. Like, you won't end the movie going, oh, I want more. I think they'll give us the right close. Will it stick the landing is a different question. Like, will it actually feel like, are we going to get our base models answers and all the action and amazingness that we want out of it?
Yeah.
Different question.
My question is, will the final chapter involve Alice having like an actual real romance, or will the franchise end in Alice just remaining kind of almost a celibate figure, but honestly kind of badass and even more feminist as a result of that? Like, I'm very fascinated to see like how that element will play into the final movie, because every once in a while they play with having like a romantic interest in the loosest, like vaguest way possible. Asa, what's your question?
My question is, in this movie, Alice and Ada fight more Silent Hill guys, is what I would describe them as, the executioners.
Yeah.
I continue to not feel like these feel like Resident Evil monsters. Like the other, generally speaking, Resident Evil monsters are zombies or something that a human could mutate into, which usually means they're not wearing clothes anymore, or they're Hulk style wearing like the tattered remains of the clothes they were wearing. Even for all of the insane business models that we have seen the Umbrella Corporation pursue in these motion pictures, who is giving these dudes like giant leather aprons and putting like burlap sacks on their head and driving nails through their faces and then letting them loose in the world with giant hammers? It just doesn't feel... Why? What is this? Who's doing this? Is this what Ada Wong does?
These are good questions. Excited to learn answers. Yeah.
Maybe we will get answers. Okay. Welcome to the end of yet another episode of Every Damn Frame. We did it. We finished 5 of 6 Resident Evil movies in the Resident Evil franchise. And we're real excited. Liz, where can people find you on social media and or other places?
Well, you can find me on the internet in general at LizShannonMiller.com. You can find me on Blue Sky at LizShannonMiller.com because I'm fancy. I'm on Letterboxd at Lizlet. And I feel like there's other things I plug here. I plug my newsletter. I write a weekly newsletter of streaming recommendations called Stream On. It is a lot of fun. You can find more information about it at consequence.net/stream-on.
Asa.
I am Asa Tate at bluesky.social because I'm not fancy. And I am Asa Tate on Letterboxd.
Yay!
I've had for a very long time because I am good at creating accounts.
I'm Jesse V at Blue Sky Social. I am also Crafty One on Letterboxd. And I have also had that account for years, and I finally got access back to it. So it's been a big, exciting week here on Every Damn Frame. And I'm actually going to say that is the most important thing, is that I have pledged to rate movies I've seen and say something clever about most of them. So I will start doing that with the Resident Evil movies as we're watching them, and then other movies I see at the same time. So I welcome friends. People keep telling me Letterboxd is fun. So that's what I want to do this week. So I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, a rating is super, super helpful. A high rating in particular, as is a comment or an engagement of any kind. And so perhaps this time, if you want to leave a comment and you can't think of a comment, perhaps you could comment about what your base model is doing at this exact time somewhere else. Okay, this has been Every Damn Frame. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Every Damn Frame is researched, recorded, and produced by Asa, Jesse, and Liz, and ruined by the Umbrella Corporation's podcasting software. I mean, it's ruined by the Red Queen. You can find them on Instagram and Blue Sky at Every Damn Frame, and on the internet at everydamnframe.com. Wesker out.
All right. Shall we try? Are you curious to try?
Curious to try.
That could be a name for the podcast. There's 3 of us.
Oh, it's true. Try curious.
That definitely doesn't have any other implication.
Try curious. Are you curious to try?
We're going to parlay our fame from Every Damn Frame into a series of ideas from our 20s that never took off.
Memes from our 20s, sadly, I don't think are going to make great podcast titles. Anyway, let's do it.
This show sucks.